serve in a camp up there. I can't remember the name of it, but that was 80s. Camp McCoy? Or no, that's
yes.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, I know which one you're talking. I can't think of the name.
Okay.
I'm about 100 miles east of that.
Okay, great. So you had a question about this H. pylori, right?
Yeah. Now, I talked to you before, and I followed your program that back in July, on your video, July 3rd, it's called The Best Veggies for Gastritis.
Mm-hmm.
And part of your protocol in there was cabbage juice and broccoli sprouts. And I have to grow my own broccoli sprouts because the stores don't carry where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing it for a month and a half, and it's helping with either the bleach or the hydroperoxide or both that's in my feet and my hands. And I was going to do the cabbage juice, and I did research on that from nutritiousdata.org, and the carbs and the sugar is high in that if you just do juice. And I used to be diabetic, but through your program, I beat that, and I'm pretty good with that now. And I'm doing your intermittent fasting and your low carbs, and I've been doing actually intermittent fasting now for like 3-4 weeks straight now, except doing broccoli sprouts, either eating them raw or in blender. That's the only food I've been getting, besides your supplements, all your supplements.
Here's a tip, Terry. Here's something that you can do to really take it to the next level. There's some great data on the relationship between just taking more zinc, and I would probably take about 150 milligrams of zinc a day, because zinc not only really helps people with ulcers, but it seems to create a really good effect over H. pylori. Kind of puts that thing back in remission. Most of us have H. pylori normally, and it doesn't bother us, but when we have an imbalance, it can pop out. But zinc is a real key thing for H. pylori to keep it in dormant stages. That's probably your next best thing to do.
I am doing the zinc that you recommended in that video. It's called zinc I can't even pronounce the last name of it. But I just got that stuff, so I've only been on for a few days right now.
That's going to help, and I think you might want to determine, based on the dosage, how many you need, but you're going to probably need about over 100 milligrams to create a good effect. So that would be something that you want to kind of put some energy on, and I think that's going to take it to the next level for you.
Okay. Do you know how much, if I do cabbage juice and stuff, I got a juicer.
There's a little bit of carb in there, but honestly, it's the amount of other nutrients in there are going to be so powerful. I mean, even if you eat cabbage, it's not that sweet. So let's say, for example, you have, let's say it's 10 grams of carbs. If you take a long walk, you can burn that up, but the benefits of the cabbage juice on the stomach and the lining is just huge.
Well, that's the problem with the H. pylori. I have so much pain in my feet, I can barely walk maybe 1,000 steps per day.
Okay.
I'm in so much pain that even laying down in bed, the pain is so bad, I got to go into the easy chair and hang my feet down and go to sleep that way. And for some reason, that helps eliminate some of the pain. But yeah, I'm in a lot of pain in my feet and a little bit in my hands.
Okay. Well, three things to add to your list. Benfotiamine, you may already have that. You want to take that. You can also take alpha-lipoic acid. That's another important one. And then the last thing is a lot of vitamin D. And I'm talking there are probably 40,000 IUs of vitamin D.
That's what I do.
Okay, good. You're on the right track. I would just give it more time, and you can fast a little bit longer as well. And I'd be really shocked if it doesn't get better in the next week or so.
It has improved some with the broccoli sprout. Now, that alpha-lipoic acid, I heard that you should be taking R-lipoic acid.
Alpha lipoic acid is the one I recommend. It's just a super important thing for peripheral neuropathies.
Right.
It's been very effective. So.
Okay, because I heard that R is actually better. I don't know if you want to research that and find out, make a video of it.
I'll take a look at that. I haven't heard that data, but I'll take a look at it. But I do know the regular version works nice.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you very much for your help.
Yep. Okay, guys. I have our first question of the day. Let's see if how many guys can get this answered. So, Steve, this is the question. What part of the avocado is highest in phytonutrients?
Okay, we've got that up on the screen now. So what part of an avocado has the highest phytonutrient levels? And we'll start collecting data from that.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know what a phytonutrient is, it's a plant-based chemical. It gives you additional properties, health benefits. So it really will help protect your DNA and other parts of the cell from breaking down. And then also, Steve, if as you get some questions in either Facebook or YouTube, I am ready for those. If you have any handy,
let's do it. First of all, let's do some shout-outs. We have callers from Congo, Puerto Rico, Japan, Australia, Greece, Spain, Thailand, South Africa. This is unbelievable. Canada, your old haunts, or I guess you spent some time up there, right, Doc?
Yep.
Cyprus, Saudi Arabia, India, Qatar, Germany, all across the U.S. I mean, too many to mention in that case. So let's jump right into it. So thank you all you viewers, and thanks for putting up with our new remote thing. We've got some new graphics and stuff to thrill you, we hope. But first off, on Facebook, Korab, is glutamine good for, Terry, tell me.
Leaky gut.
Leaky gut, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah, so let me answer that question. Glutamine, actually, there's some confusion on glutamine because people say, glutamine is going to be causing cancer. No, only if you have cancer do you have to avoid it. But if you don't have cancer, it's almost impossible to avoid it if you're eating food. But glutamine does help leaky gut. It really does help the leaky gut. So that would be very, very important to take. Leaky gut is actually quite common, and what happens is that's like the gateway to, if you get through that little hole in your intestine and it starts to going into the layer that you have this huge immune system sitting there, and you don't go through proper immigration, you get this immune reaction where your immune system, gives whatever's going through there a can of whoop-ass, and then basically you develop antibodies to this item. So whether it's a protein and in gluten, you get gluten sensitivity or allergies to gluten, allergies to casein, different proteins, and now all of a sudden you have all these allergies, and then you potentially could lead into psoriasis and autoimmune stuff. So yeah, glutamine is key. I think probably the most important thing is when you're an infant is to get breast milk, because if you're formula fed, boy, you lose out on the colostrum and all these beneficial things, and you end up having weaknesses down the road. Steve, you have another question?
Well, I tell you what, we're starting to collect some answers, but let's let that go a little bit longer, and let's jump over to YouTube. So Shanti, how do I lose belly flab? So they said that the stomach is going down, but still very flabby belly area. Would love to take care of that. So congratulations, I guess, on the losing weight, but what's next?
Well, I think it's a really good question. There's a video I did a while ago that shows you how to tighten that little extra skin that just won't tighten up. And doing sit-ups doesn't do anything for it. What you can do is reverse sit-ups where you're standing and you're tightening your stomach muscles and you're arching back. And as you do that, you're toning, you're stretching, and you're creating a a nice tightening of your abdominal tissue. That's one thing. So if you look up a video I did, it's called reverse sit-ups. Now, the other thing you have to realize is if you have this little layer of fat underneath your skin, that's called subcutaneous, that won't go away until all the visceral fat goes away. That's the stuff that's deeper inside. So that's going to take some time. But again, if you add exercise, if you add low carb and more fasting, eventually the midsection will go away, but it does take, that last little bit of thing, takes a heck of a long time, unfortunately. I'm sorry. It's part of the survival thing where your body has that there to help as a backup storage for when you starved, when our bodies have starved over the history. So it's something you can work on, but it does take some major work. All right. So listen, we need to go to Kathy from Dallas. She's been waiting patiently. Kathy, what's your question?
Hi, Dr. Berg. Nice to hear your voice. I have an issue with incontinence, and I asked your question taker about how to clean the kidneys, but I'm wondering if maybe I was off the mark on that. It's not severe, but it's persistent. What would you suggest?
I think the best thing to take is, are you on the healthy version of ketosis yet?
Well, I'm on ketosis, but I haven't climbed to your level.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
All right. There's a couple things you want to add to really target the kidney. Dandelion greens is a really good thing it's like a natural diuretic. It really helps flush the kidneys. The electrolyte powder with a lot of potassium is another thing that will help flush the kidneys. The kidneys tend to be cleansed with a lot of the phytonutrients that you have in large amounts of vegetables, which I'm almost positive you're probably doing 7 to 10 cups of organic vegetables every single day, and I'm being very sarcastic because I don't know that. But that's one thing that's going to be helpful. What's harmful to the kidney if you do a high-protein diet, if there's kidney weakness, because your kidney has to filter all that stuff. So if the kidney needs support, you just have to realize that anything that's not organic, that has pesticides, is bad. Anything that's GMO is bad. Anything that's drug is bad. So alcohol would be bad. So you just want to be really, really clean. But keep working towards, just a healthier version. And then I would add those dandelion greens with your salad, and I think you'll see some cool changes.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And then Cheryl from Toronto.
Dr. Berg?
Are you there, Cheryl?
I am. Are you there?
I'm there.
How do I?
I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're
So good to talk to you. I don't know where to start. I'm 54. I'm 5'8", 120 pounds. I don't have any belly fat whatsoever. So I don't need to lose weight. I'm on intermittent fasting. I follow your keto diet. I have your meal plan. But those aren't my issues. It's not weight loss. I was born with one kidney, so I'm worried about adrenal fatigue and how that would be affected with only one kidney. And I also have a pineal cyst, and I don't know where that came from, but I don't know how that's affecting things either. And there's a whole host of things that I'm experiencing, and I'm doing the L-glutamine in bone broth and the colostrum, the grass-fed colostrum, to try to fix it if I do have a leaky gut, and trying to fix that if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I have osteopenia and neutropenia and all kinds of things. And my vitamin D level, that's what I want to ask you. Is 260 is my blood levels from last week, and I don't know if that's too high.
Based on what you have, I think having it a little bit higher is probably a good thing. But if you're concerned, just make sure you're consuming at least 2.5 liters of fluid a day, of water or fluid a day. And that way, that will prevent from any type of potential side effect from too much vitamin D, which is calcium building up, because you'll keep it from forming into a stone. So it's a real simple solution, but you want the benefit of the vitamin D, especially from if you have neutropenia, because your neutrophils are smaller. So there sounds to me that's one of the symptoms from adrenal issues. I will say if you're born with one adrenal, the adrenal usually adapts and becomes large enough where it can handle things. So
Right.
it may or may not be the big issue. However, you've passed menopause, right? So you're
I am, yeah.
osteopenia. I'm going to be releasing some videos on that, but I think the main important thing is to have enough trace minerals, especially like boron, selenium, silica, and zinc, especially zinc.
Okay. I am taking zinc, but I only take 15 milligrams in the zinc, and then so.
Yeah, you're going to need a blend of all those trace minerals with emphasis on some of these other minerals, because you want those are act as co-helpers to help build bone. It is not a calcium issue. What's happening with osteopenia is a breakdown mainly of the collagen, because there could be higher levels of cortisol, and also a hormonal shift. The other thing is to make sure your estrogen is not too high or not too low. I think if you just hang in there and wait for my video to be released, and that I cover everything. I talk about osteomalacia, osteoporosis, osteopenia, and it's really important thing with estrogen. So,
because I do take your adrenal stress formula. I just started that, and your nutritional yeast tablets, and I'm waiting for a whole bunch of other things to come. But I wanted to ask you, I guess my thyroid, the T4 and T3 are in good levels, but I'm having a lot of hair loss. So.
So just make sure that I think with these new things are going to help you. You'll have enough B vitamins, you'll have enough the trace minerals, and that should help the hair too. So I think you're on the right track.
And my glucose fasting is 4.6, so I don't know how that is. But
that's you mean your A1C?
A1C is 5.4, and my random glucose is 5.1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, you're on track.
And all my and I got one last thing I want to mention. My rheumatoid factor came back positive, but all my inflammation markers, like the ESR was 9, the CRP was only 0.6, and the anti-CCP was only 0.8. So it looks like the inflammation is low, but I don't know why rheumatoid factor could be the leaky gut. So. Yeah,
I think you're on the right track. I would ride the wave and make those subtle changes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay, Dr. Berg, why don't we let's get to the quiz. And the quiz stated what part of an avocado has the highest phytonutrient levels. And we had a few of the lighter part of the avocado, the skin, but almost 100% of the folks, which seems strange to me, said it was the seed. It was the seed that had the most.
Interesting. And this is the answer. It's the material as close to the inside of the peel as possible. You want to have that, and also close to the pit. That's the part of the avocado that has the most phytonutrients. Actually, way more than the inside the pit. So, just make sure when you have your avocado, and you take your avocado out of the skin, scrape that outer layer around, because that has some seriously good stuff as well as on the pit. Okay, Steve?
Interesting. That's very good. Let's see now. Let's go back to some questions. Stand by for just a second. And okay, so Estella, why am I struggling with hunger on OMAD? I was fine 2 meals per day, and that's from Facebook. Estella from Facebook.
Okay. Either you need to add more fat, or you haven't transitioned yet. So you may want to do it more on a gradual thing. If you want to, I mean, if there's a little hunger, I would just push through it unless you're feeling really, really weak. It's okay to have some occasional hunger. That's not the big issue. But if it's intense, that's another issue. And in that case, you have to kind of go back to 2 meals and start to squish those together closer and closer gradually over time to the point where you're just at 1 meal. You can take the MCT oil. That usually helps, but you want to increase more fat. It just tells us that you have maybe a higher level of insulin resistance than you would like. And it's just going to take more time. That's why you're hungry. Hey, Steve, another question. What is the best way to deal with copper overload?
The best way to deal with copper overload, and we have a very handsome graphic, so everyone will be able to stare at that as they ponder their answer. And we'll be waiting for those results. And how about another question, Doc, while we're waiting?
Give it to Yep.
Okay, so this time let's go back to YouTube. And help me with that, Terry. Is it, how would you say that?
Jemiah.
Jemiah, I hope. Is pumpkin keto friendly? Jemiah from
now,
YouTube.
Like in pumpkin pie, right? The problem is when you buy it canned or you cook it, that's one that definitely turns into a carbohydrate, unfortunately, too much. If you steam it, it might be okay. But pumpkin tends to, you start cooking it into pumpkin pie, and it's not as bad as applesauce or some of these other things, but it definitely has some carbs because you're cooking it, and as you cook it, you break down this starch into a higher glycemic thing. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Steve, I'm going to go to Ray from Brooklyn.
Excellent idea.
Hey, Ray, are you there?
Well, hey, Dr. Berg. Love it.
Hi.
You're the best, man. I can't get enough, man.
Okay.
All right, so I have a quick question. I'm just going to go through this kind of quick. I'm down to OMAD, low carb, not fully keto. That's not the issue. I saw a couple of your videos on B vitamins, and very, very informative. My question is, am I taking too much B vitamins? Now, I put nutritional yeast on like my eggs and my salad. I consume a B vitamin complex, which is what I was doing before I was taking the nutritional yeast. And I just got thiamine and niacin separate. Is that too much B vitamins to consume?
Did you get them? Are you adding additional synthetics, or is it all coming from nutritional yeast?
No, so I started with actual vitamin, a pill, which was a B complex, which I was taking, and I didn't think it was enough B vitamins in my diet from what I've learned from your videos. So I started just using straight up nutritional yeast, but because I'm down to OMAD, I can't put it on everything. It's just difficult to put on everything.
So here's the question: the bottle of vitamins that you have, the B vitamins. You want to look at the back of the label and see if they're all like in even numbers, like, it's all 100 milligrams or all 50 milligrams of everything, or is it varied? And then also you want to see the source of those B vitamins. 99.9% of all the B vitamins are made synthetic from petroleum. So I would do a food-based B vitamins. I would not do synthetic unless you're doing a detox. But that's one of the problems that people run into is they get the synthetic and they think it's the same thing. If you have an altered microbiome where your gut, you don't have all the bacteria and stuff in your gut, that could be the reason why you need more B. Also, if there's gut and small intestine damage, you may not be able to absorb B, so you need more. The problem is, how do you get it in the system? Don't focus on high doses of B. Just focus on quality of B vitamins. That's what I would do. There's only a couple companies that produce natural B vitamins, unfortunately. So I'm not going to get into the brands at this point, but you can kind of do research on that. All right. Thanks, Ray. Hey, Tina, you're from La Crosse, Wisconsin?
Yeah, woohoo.
Hey, hi.
Hi.
That is the most beautiful place in the fall I've ever seen. It's incredible.
Yeah, I live up on the Granddad's Bluff area, so it's even more beautiful.
Oh, my gosh. I'm jealous.
Well, you're sweet. I just wanted to tell you that I've only seen you since last night. I was referred to you by one of your million fans, and I just started keto the end of June. And I started at 190, and today's date I'm at 163, and my goal is 135.
Wow.
So I followed this other doctor's plan, just because I don't know anything about it. So now I'm feeling that I'm stuck for the last couple weeks. I don't even know if I'm doing it right, to tell you the truth. so I'm only eating maybe 1 to 2 meals a day, but I don't know if I use a sweetener in my coffee and I use heavy cream in the morning, like I use that PYRE sweetener, stevia natural. I use that in my coffee with heavy cream, and that's the only coffee I have in the morning. And then I have, those random recipes that people post out there with hamburger and all that other stuff. But as I was researching you last night and 3 hours this morning, I downloaded that vegetables and stuff that you should be implementing in the keto. So yeah. I think I need to start from the beginning. I just don't know.
Yeah. There's 2 things. I'm going to give you a quick tip, but there's 2 things that you want to do. The version of keto that I recommend is the healthy version. I went through it and tested it on, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of people. So we have a version that really works. You just have to learn it, because when you start watching a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you may or may not be on the right track. And so, because everyone and their brother is giving advice. I will say that I finally actually trained several keto consultants, and anyone can take advantage of this if you call our office between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's say you're doing keto and it's not going smooth. They have like a little checklist they can go through and help you personally to take more time to kind of go through and go, oh, you need to focus on this or that. So I do have keto consultants. If you just go to drberg.com, there should be a number up there. You can call them. But if you want to speed up your results, the most important thing, the top 3 things, is to do a little deep dive and start measuring your carbs, and you may find they're just too much. You want to get it below 20 grams to really start kicking in. Kick this thing in the butt. So if that is achieved, then you want to go into the fasting. You want to fast longer and longer, because as we age, our metabolism slows down a bit. So fasting longer is really important, and make sure you don't eat unless you're hungry. And then the third thing, believe it or not, is the combination of better sleep and then less stress. Because those, if you're a little bit stressed or you're going through an infection or you're not sleeping, boy, that will just shut things down more than anything. So, but also I think you just need to know exactly how to do it correctly. So keep watching more videos, get the book, go through it, and I think you'll be good. Thank you.
Okay, Doc, how about we go to your quiz number 2, numero 2. What is the best way to deal with copper overload? And the audience says 80% give blood, 10% say nutritional yeast, which I munch all day, and then 10% say that cruciferous vegetables would be the answer to that issue. Okay,
so I think I have to make sure that people understood the question, because I'm not talking about iron overload. I'm talking about copper overload.
Yeah, I think so, but I just think that's their sort of sense. So we need to be educated.
So copper is really toxic to your body. It produces all sorts of symptoms, especially cognitive mood changes, irritability, depression, anxiety, big time, because it affects your neurotransmitters. So the fastest and best way to handle that would be to take zinc. And see, all roads lead back to zinc, right?
By the way, I have to give kudos to somebody on YouTube, because they simply put zinc. So now we know what they meant. So congratulations, YouTube. That is
correct. And one of the big ways women have copper overload is by taking birth control pills, just regular birth control pills, or even the IUD, the copper ring. So just FYI, everyone, zinc will actually protect you from excess amounts of copper, because copper, the reason why they use the copper is it's not just an antibacterial, it is an anti-fertility thing. So it will kill sperm and make your body so you just cannot become pregnant. All right, so Steve, I'm going to roll right into one question, because I have a lot of questions, and I'm going to take some more questions over here. The next question is, what is ectopic fat? Ectopic fat. What does that mean? What is that? Okay, I'm going to have you guys chew on that, and I'm going to go right to a question. I'm going to go to Victor. Victor, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me, Dr. Berg?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Yes, I had been watching some YouTube videos about moringa, and I was wanting to know if I was trying to look if you had any videos on it, and I haven't seen it. And I was just wondering your take on moringa.
Yeah, I like it. Moringa is a good. It's a leaf from a very large tree. I think it's grown in Africa, and it has some of the highest nutrients. So it's a very nutrient rich. It has phytonutrients. It has a good amount of calcium and in a plant-based form. It has a lot of vitamin C. It has iron. It has a lot of things. So I like it as a powder, but I would recommend if you're going to take it, and I'm not saying that's the thing to take for the immune system. I wouldn't necessarily think that would be the best thing to take for immune, but just for overall nutrition, it's not a bad thing to spike your diet. But try to find a freeze-dried version of it. That would be something that I would focus on if I were to take that.
So would you say maybe like once every other day?
Yeah, totally fine. Absolutely.
Okay, I have another quick question. I'm starting to do lifting weights, and I was just wanting to know how long it takes, like, the muscle, from the fat, or to lose some of the fat, the muscle, like, the weight and stuff. I mean, how long would it, the change? Yeah.
I want you to realize that out of all of your overall results, exercise will only contribute 15%. 85% of your results are going to come from being strict keto and intermittent fasting together. So I'm just letting you know that. But
okay, I'm doing the intermittent fasting right now.
Okay, good. The key with exercise is to be able to do it with enough volume and to the point where you really are doing it optimally for your body, and you're like a really good workout where you're sweating and you're working all the muscles in a way that is going to make a change, so you're actually sore the next day. So you can, because personally, I think that that's why we need personal trainers, because without a personal trainer, people just don't tend to go to that level they need to see the change. If you find someone good, that would be very beneficial. But that's just my take on it. Thanks, Victor.
Okay, Doc, we got some answers pretty quickly for what is ectopic fat. I didn't know. 90% of it says it's fat where it shouldn't be, that it's moved to somewhere else, migrated. And then 10% said fatty liver. So we've got some smarty pants out there answered right away, or they Googled.
Well, here's the thing. You guys are correct. Ectopic fat means the accumulation of fat outside the fat cells. Okay? So you have adipose tissue, right? The accumulation of, the thing that's in fat, triglycerides, that type of fat, it's outside the fat cell. So it's between organs, it's inside organs. That would be called ectopic fat versus inside your fat cell.
So would that mean that that fatty liver, that person was correct?
Yes, fatty liver, fatty heart, fatty pancreas, and fatty muscle.
All right, well, congratulations, liver person.
Okay, good. So let's go to Tracy from Camden. Are you there, Tracy?
Hello?
Hi, Tracy.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, great. Thank you. Listen, I've got a billion questions, but I know you can't get to all billion of them, so I'll try to just focus on one or two important ones. I've been on keto now for approximately 7 weeks, and I've lost 25 pounds, which I'm feeling great about. Happened fairly quickly, but now I've kind of hit a stalled. I'm sort of in a stalemate right now. And one of the things that I'm wanting to know is, for the last several weeks, I've been having to take pain medication for a bad knee. I just had surgery on that knee, so I'm still on a little bit of pain med. Obviously, you don't want to take pain medication on an empty stomach. How is taking pain medications periodically throughout the day going to affect trying to do intermittent fasting?
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to affect your ketosis more than fasting, unless you have it on an empty stomach. But do they want it to have it with food?
Well, most pain medications, especially if they're narcs, they say to take with a little bit of food. And so I try to take just a very small amount.
Okay.
But I didn't know how much even a small amount of food affected your intermittent fasting. I can't even say that.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that interferes with the fasting. Even just a little bit of something.
Very good point. I think the safest bet, honestly, is some pure fat, pure fat food, like a little butter, a little coconut oil. That would be something that at least it won't increase ketones. I mean, it won't increase the insulin. Now, I will say this, that the long-term goal is to get your body to the point where it's, hey, there's no more knee pain, right? And the fasting is going to help you greatly, but I'm going to tell you right now, vitamin K2 is going to be vitally important. I would take more of that with your vitamin D3. Those two together are dynamite for taking calcium out of the places where it shouldn't be, like the joints, and putting it into the bone, and they're both anti-inflammatory, and they're both will support insulin resistance. But K2, if there's like osteophytes or little spurs and stuff, they tend to help that. So those two things in higher amounts, you may even find that, wow, that just acts like as a natural pain blocker.
Right. Well, my particular issue was pertaining to the meniscus.
Okay.
So, but if that helps, I will certainly like to try that. But I was really concerned about the interfering with the fasting part. Is taking small snacks throughout the day. If you can't eat, because I'm wanting to get your meal replacement, that's my next purchase. But until I can get that, if you're only, because my schedule is so crazy, mine and my husband's schedulers are so crazy, I can't always have a sit-down meal. So if you have just small snacks, is that going to ruin your fasting too?
Yeah, totally.
Even if there's...
That is the worst thing to do, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I don't want you to get stuck in these small snacks of the day. It's much better if you have infrequent meals but have more food at that meal than these little small snacks. You want to kind of get away from that. You'll see the inflammation, even if it's bone on bone, you'll see inflammation goes down if you do the fasting and nothing in between.
Okay, Doc, so let's get back to some questions here. And if I were Sultan, I'd be furious because he posted his question about a half hour ago on YouTube, and he wants to know if it's normal to lose muscle on keto. Lose muscle on keto.
Ketones are natural protein sparers. So when you produce ketones, your body doesn't start wasting muscle. Your body's going to go after the fat first. And the time it's going to go after the muscle for fuel is later in the game, where to the point where you burned all your fat off, and now you have no more fat to burn. Now your body will eat up your muscles, but that's called starvation, and it's very unlikely that's ever going to happen, especially if you're doing the healthy version of keto. You're taking all the nutrients and key things like that, and especially if you have fat to burn. When you go into fasting, the hormones that kick in, especially growth hormone, prevents you from utilizing your muscle as fuel. So, you're not going to have to worry about that, especially if you add in some exercise. Exercise stimulates the muscle and keeps it strong and keeps it growing.
Okay, sounds great. And I'm worried about Julie because she's suffering from night terrors, which is horrible. She wants to know, she's taking some supplements, but should she take like some B1 or other supplements in addition to that?
B1 is the one for nightmares or night terrors or panic attacks. B1. You have to take a good amount. I would recommend a natural source like from nutritional yeast, but take a good amount of that, and that should completely handle it. I mean, the other thing, too, you have to realize is there's certain things in junk food, for example, MSG, and even other things like tannic acid in too much tea, or when you have caffeine, that can deplete B1. So there's other reasons for being B1 depleted. Drinking too much tea, too much coffee, too much sugar, of course, MSG, that's a flavor enhancer, and also refined carbs and sugar. But yeah, B1 will help you the most. Tremendous.
Okay, why don't we stick with dreadful subjects here? Poor Tammy's daughter has severe anxiety due to a hormonal shift. What can you recommend for Tammy's daughter?
Well, I mean, it boils down to the basics. Are you on healthy keto? Are you doing intermittent fasting? Rather than treat a symptom, I get the basics in. You'd be shocked to find out how all these things clear up, especially your mood. Couple things about mood. You want to make sure you're also taking something like omega-3 fatty acids, DHA. Cod liver oil is a really good thing, and vitamin D. But it just so happens that cod liver oil has omega-3 fatty acids as well as vitamin D together, so that's a real good thing for someone that has anxiety or even depression.
Okay, that's great. So how about another call, Doc?
Yep. Okay, so we're going to go to Terrence. Are you there, Terrence?
Hello, Dr. Berg. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm calling from India, and I appreciate your content and the clarity in your explanations.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I've been on keto since 5 months, and I've lost over 40 pounds. I'm into the last bit of fat right now, 10 to 15 pounds. I'm having a tough time losing it. I watched other videos which said that I need to go out of ketosis and increase my carb intake. So do I need to do that, or can I stay in ketosis and lose the last bit of fat?
Okay, so here's the thing. What got you into your weight loss and the loss of 40 pounds won't necessarily get you to lose all the weight. It doesn't necessarily work like that, unfortunately. Like, you just keep doing the same thing and get to your ideal goal. And of course, the people that are cutting grass happen to be cutting grass right outside the window, so hopefully you can hear me. But what you have to do is you have to do a much stricter plan that lasts 15 to 20 pounds or even 10 pounds or even 5 pounds especially. I have a video out there you could search out. It's called Keto on Steroids. It's extreme keto, and that will work. You're actually bringing your carbs down to zero, and you're forcing your body to leverage all the fat-burning hormones. In addition to that, you want to do some periodic prolonged fasting. So maybe this week you do a 72-hour fast. Next week you do a 48-hour fast. The next week you do maybe a shorter fast, and just kind of rotate that. But you're going to have to do that, and while you add a certain amount of exercise to achieve your ideal goal. I'm sorry, but sorry to break it to you, but that's kind of what you have to do.
Okay. One last question. I wake up in the morning and I have my fat burner on an empty stomach. Will that be an issue? Because I feel a bit of burning sensation in my stomach, and it has about 200 mg of caffeine with some other ingredients. So will that be an issue to take fat burner? You said you have a
fat burner? It really depends on the ingredients. I mean, if they're ingredients that are herbal, natural things, yeah, okay, go for it. There's a lot of things that help burn fat, like green tea, for example. But just make sure it's not a synthetic. All right, good. Very good question. And I think it's time for another quiz. All right, Steve.
All right. Let's bring it up. What's the next one?
Yeah, we know that cod liver oil and fatty fish are very high in omega-3 fatty acids, DHA. But what else is high in vitamin D? Other than the sun. I'm not talking about the sun, but what other food is high in it's omega-3 fatty acids, DHA?
Okay, we've got that up on the screen, and while we're doing that, why don't you go to another call, but answer the questions, folks. We were a little shy on Facebook today, so come on, dig in there, put up the answer, because YouTube's beating you at this point.
Okay, I'm going to go to Emily from Milford. Are you there, Emily?
Yes, I'm there. Hi, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Great.
I've been doing healthy keto almost 2 years.
Okay.
I'm in my early 50s, and I've noticed since I started menopause that my tonsils will come up and go back down periodically. But it's been up since last October, and I notice whenever I eat certain foods, like eggs, which I love because since after you said that you eat eggs every morning, I did do that. But I notice if I eat eggs or certain dairy products, but I don't do dairy, but like eggs or the cheese, I notice it would hurt a lot and get red. Is there anything I can do to bring it back down? Because it's been up for a while. It doesn't really bother me unless I really eat something.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I think there could be an allergy to some of these foods, and I think over time, allergies will improve as you do more fasting. But there's a great technique that you can look up that I show people on what to do for sore throats. You can watch it online. It's just some of you won't even believe it unless you try it, but it's an acupressure technique. You should just check it out. You can just do a search on it. But I think it's an immune reaction from some of the foods, so I think there could be an allergy. You probably wouldn't hurt to go get it tested, and then you can avoid those things you're allergic to. I've done that. I've done an allergy test a while ago, and I only found one thing that was real mild, but everything else wasn't a problem. So you can just kind of see, is there an allergy or not?
Okay, because I did went to my ENT doctor, and he looked at it. He told me it's not inflamed. It doesn't have any cancer in the back there. It's okay. Sometimes they come up and last for a very long time, but I specifically notice when I eat certain things.
One last thing. When you're deficient in zinc, the tonsils tend to swell because your thymus shrinks. So you get this immune reaction. So take a little zinc as well just to make sure. But I think that's a secondary thing because I think the primary thing is there's some type of allergy that's creating this sensation. All right. Thanks for your call.
Okay, Doc, so ask and you shall receive. The audience really pounded in the answers, and this is a spectrum across Facebook and YouTube. 10% say salmon, 60% say eggs, and that's a variety. Some say duck eggs. 10% say sardines, 10% walnut, and finally 10% liver for the question.
Okay. So a lot of you guys are correct. It's definitely in liver. It's definitely in duck eggs. It's definitely in fatty fish. It's also in sardines. It's also in caviar. I actually don't like caviar, but that's really good if you're pregnant for your children, future child. But here's something that you may not consider: marine algae, microalgae. That has a good amount of DHA, which is fascinating. So there's another source. It's a vegan source, but it is high in DHA. That I'm not talking about pond scum, Steve. I'm talking about some marine algae that's grown in healthy oceans or lakes.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I know you had concern about that. I was never into this marine algae. I'm starting to just look at it and just researching. I'm just fascinated by how long it's been around and what it actually has in it.
Are those ingredients in any of your products? Any veggie formula stuff? Do you have that?
No, I don't use any of the algae at all. So no, I use
and no pond scum, I guess. Okay.
No, but I'm finding it an interesting topic. I'm halfway through a book I'm reading on it, and I'm just I'll probably be doing some videos on it because it's interesting for the immune system and various things. But definitely, it's a good backup for DHA.
Wonderful. How about we go back to social media? And Birdie wants to know the best treatment for asthma, I guess beyond, and she's on YouTube. Birdie wants to know what she can do about her asthma.
Oh, this is an easy one. Vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D. Sun will give you a good dose of vitamin D, but you want to take higher doses of vitamin D. This is why asthma always gets worse in the winter, and it kind of goes away in the summer if you're getting sun. So, yes, the things that respond really nice to vitamin D would be something like TB, asthma, COPD, lung issues, getting sick frequently from the immune system, low back pain. Vitamin D is probably one of my favorite vitamins just because it's what it can do to your body. And unfortunately, most people are deficient. Steve, I have another quiz. Okay. True or false?
All right.
Zinc decreases cortisol.
Let's see. I'm going to pop that right up for everyone. There we go. True or false? Zinc lowers cortisol. And by the way, we're down to the last few minutes. So, as always, we never leave any callers hanging. So, Doc, while they're answering that, why don't you, if you would, take our last caller for today?
Yeah, and also before I talk to Joyce, I want to say, if you guys want some questions answered, some basic questions, you can always call one of my health coaches, and they're online. There's a number on the website, drberg.com, and then that way you can either get you started if you're new, or if you're bugged and you want a little bit of a kind of a someone to look from a different viewpoint, or you have a product question, you can call us anytime. Hey, Joyce, you're from Fort Valley. How are you?
I'm good. Thank
Great.
you for taking my call.
Sure.
Listen, I introduced my daughter to you some years ago, and she was experiencing deep depression, and she had some weight issues, and she got on the keto intermittent fasting, and she lost probably like 70 pounds.
Wow.
And she started a different job and got off track. So she would still do it off and on. And then when, I think it was the first part of this year, probably when everyone had locked down, she decided to seriously get back on her intermittent fasting and keto. And she's been doing it pretty religiously. And she noticed that she was still having a problem. The depression is still there. And when she got on the scale, she just her weight hadn't moved. In fact, she had gained a little weight. She's on so many of the different products that you carry. One while she was worrying if maybe she was taking too many things at the same time. But where does she go from here? That's what, kind of like at a standoff to get things moving again.
Yeah, if you actually search
Ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry that our remote broadcast, we've lost the doctor. So I would ask that our last caller, what's her name, please? Joyce. Joyce, would you please call in next week? We don't know what happened to Dr. Berg, but he fell off our system. And so we would like you to call back in because that's an important question and we want to get an answer. We're also very happy for all of our respondents on the latest quiz. And it is true or false, zinc lowers cortisol, and 100% of you said right. So this suggests that Dr. Berg's been educating you because I can't imagine anyone being able to Google it that fast. The numbers just came rushing through. And stand by just a moment. I think we've got Dr. Berg back. Doctor, are you there? No, we don't hear him.
Yes. Okay. You can hear me?
Yeah, good. We're back with Dr. Berg. So that's great. And if you would answer our caller's question,
Yeah.
Doctor.
I don't want to let her hanging.
No.
There's a couple things that you can do. I have a video on it. You just search it. But real quickly, it's not fat. She's not gaining fat. It's either fluid retention. There could be some underlying other reason like stress. I think also I would adjust the fat amount, the fat grams, bring it down to 75 grams. I will say that when you go off the keto plan, go back on it and off it on it, it doesn't necessarily work like it did the first time. So it's a motivation for everyone to stick to it longer. But I will say you might have to just be stricter. Fast longer, lower carbs, more sleep, and less stress. Those are the key things. Make sure the type of food that you're using it's not like you're not retaining fluid. On some people, if they have gut issues, you might need to do carnivore for a while because that can create bloating and retention of water. And then, Steve, the true or false question?
Okay, true or false? 100%. By the way, you were gone when I announced their victory. 100% of the folks responded that it was true, which means that you've educated them very well because no one had
Wow.
time to research all that. So I'm very proud of the audiences. I'm sure you are. They're all brilliant.
The answer is true. You're all correct. Great job. Listen, I really appreciate all of your wonderful questions. I don't know what happened to my phone there, but next week it'll be video, and I'll be back to video. But I'm just trying this out. I think it works pretty good, so it's good as a backup. And have a wonderful weekend. See you real soon.